Hello everyone, welcome back to the AI blog. Today, by the end of this video, you should be able to install multiple versions of Python. You should be able to switch between them. You should be able to create virtual environments using different versions of Python. And you should be able to install libraries in each. So we're going to be using multiple versions of Python. So why so many Py? Why not? If you're able to easily switch between different versions of Python, it means that you have access to different libraries. And also, when you go into the real world, you might need to work on projects using older versions of Python. And you can't expect everyone to just update their projects to the latest and greatest version. A lot of projects will be using a slightly older version of Python, and it's really not difficult. So why are we doing this? Many good reasons. So virtual environments have a lot of benefits. You can think of a virtual environment as a sandbox where your shovels are libraries and the sand is any version of Python you like. So going forward, all our AI work will be done inside of virtual environments. So to install a specific version of Python, you can go to python.org. Here we have this big yellow button. This is for the latest version of Python for Windows. If you have a specific version, like you have a different operating system, you'll need to click on your operating system. Also, if you want a specific version, you're going to need to click on your operating system. So I will click on Windows. And here we have python.org/download/Windows. And we want to download 3.7.9. So you can press Control F, and that will allow you to type in 3.7.9. You should find it in the bottom left hand after you press Control F, a little search bar in the bottom half of your screen, and you'll be able to find 3.7.9. And we're going to download the executable file. So right here in plain English, download Windows x86 executable installer. Once you click that button, a window will pop up. Install Python 3.7.9, and you're going to want to click Add Python 3.7 to Path before you click on Install Now. So here we are. We click on the executable file. We add Python 3.7 to the path. Click Install Now. Wait for it. 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 And bingo. In 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, we have installed 3.7. Here's 3.9. You're going to do the same process and find the download Windows installer, 64-bit. A little different wording, but this is also an executable. And it'll be the same process where you add Python 3.9 to the path. Very important. Hit install now. So changing between versions. Change the order in your path. So let's go to our path. I'm going to get out of my PowerPoint. I'm going to go to my search bar down here. I'm going to type env. So env. Here you have edit the system environment variables. Right here you can see environment variables, and you can have path, edit. So which version of Python is going to be run? So it's going to be run by whichever version of Python is first in your path. So let's move the latest version, or not the latest version, but 3.9. And for this to have any effect at all, we need to press OK, and OK, and OK. Okay, so we have multiple versions of Python installed on our computer, but how do we use different versions of Python from the command line interface? Well, you type py dash and then the version you want. So 3.7. So now we're using version 3.7. And so what this does, if you type it like that, is typing py opens up a sandbox. So here we have hello world. Awesome. Quit to exit out of that. If you just type py, you can see I have 3.9.6 is the highest one in my path, so that's the one it uses. Yeah, so you can switch between versions by choosing like this. dir, I have my nuclear launch codes, and I have Python. So I want to go into Python and CLS. Now what do I have? Nothing. I want to make a virtual environment. Okay, here we are back in the PowerPoint. So virtual environments. So making your first virtual environment is easy. You can type py and then the version and then v and then your environment name. And so what does all this mean? So first off, we have py. This invokes the Python launcher on Windows. It allows you to specify which Python version to use when multiple versions are installed. Then we have -3.9. This specifies the version of Python to use. In this case, Python 3.9. The launcher will look for and use Python 3.9 to execute the command. -m. This tells Python to run a module as a script. Here, the module is venv. venv. This is the module being executed. The venv module is used to create a virtual environment in Python. A virtual environment is a self-contained directory that contains its own Python interpreter and libraries. Lastly, we have the name of the virtual environment. So to make a virtual environment, you type py -m for module, and it's going to be a virtual environment. And now we can do the name. So I want to make it succinct, so I'm going to call it v3.9. Oh, and I want to specify what version I want Python to make. So what kind of Python is v3.9? It's -3.9. So what I'm saying is Python, please use version 3.9 to make a new module, a virtual environment, and it's going to be called this. So once I do that, it'll take 5 seconds. And in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, we should have a virtual environment. So dir, here it is. Yeah, so when you're ready to launch your first virtual environment on Windows, you can type name-scripts-activate. I think in older versions you were required to use backslashes, but from now on you should be able to use /. For a Mac OS and Linux user, you might try to use source and then name/bin/activate. If I want to launch this virtual environment, well, I type the name v3.9 / or backslash. With the new versions of Python, it doesn't matter. Scripts/activate. And now you can see, let's see, CLS. Okay. You can see it's activated because we have this green prefix. version 3.9. Now, let's double check version 3.9. And I want to install a library. So let me show you how to run the sandbox. You type in pi, and here you can do, x equals 10, y equals 20, print x plus y, and you get 30. So that's the sandbox. What if I want to import a library that I haven't installed yet? Well, you can see it's not there. So I want to quit CLS, and I want to import PySerial. So how do I do that? I say pip the version 3.9. I want to use 3.9 version of PySerial. Pip 3.9 install PySerial. Okay, now Pi. Now, it should have no problem. So if I say import serial, there was no issue. We did not get an error code. So we have just installed PySerial into virtual environment 3.9. So that's clear. I want to exit 3.9. Now dir. Okay, so we have an environment for 3.9. Now I want to create a virtual environment for 3.7. So we say pi dash use 3.7 dash m v, and it's going to be called v 3.7. So please make this, and in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail we should have a new virtual environment. Okay, CLS dir. Okay, there you can see. Let us activate our new virtual environment, which was created using version 3.7. So the name /scripts/activate, and I want to check the version, make sure I did this correctly. Python 3.7 looks good. CLS, let's start. Okay, here we are in 3.7. Import PySerial. Uh-oh, not good. Quit. Okay, pip 3.7 install PySerial. Okay, CLS. Let's start up the interpreter, and let's import serial. And no problem. That's great. So print. Good job. Okay, we can quit. CLS. Wait. Deactivate. I want to get out of this virtual environment. CLS. Okay. So dir. What if I wanted to delete the virtual environment? You could remove version 3.9. So remove directory. And all this is doing, guys, is really just deleting the folder. You can say yes, and CLS dir, and there you have it. And it's very straightforward, so why don't we make it again? So pi dash 3.9 dash m v, and then the name v3.9. Please make it. And in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, we should have our new virtual environment. There it is. We can activate it. So dir v3.9. I just needed to look at it, so that's why I used dir. And scripts and activate. and pi dash v. Good, 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 good. Pip 3.9, install pi serial. There you go. Run the environment, import serial. Okay, very good. Quit. CLS. Dir. Okay, so that's virtual environments in the PowerShell, but what about Visual Studio Code? So this is a familiar site for a lot of people, Visual Studio Code. So what is the difference between Visual Studio Code and the command line interface? Well, it's a little bit different, but everything's still the same. For example, pi-v tells me I'm in 3.9.6. If I wanted to check my directory, I can do that. And there's my directory. If I wanted to activate a virtual environment, it's also the same. And there you have it. Pi-v. Okay. Deactivate. Okay. v3.7 scripts activate. And pi-v 3.7. Wonderful. CLS. So we're in 3.7. I want to run it. And I want to check that Pi serial is still working okay. No problems. I can use this interface the way anyone would. Hello world. There it is. Okay, so if you made it this far, you should try to do this on your own. Try to install multiple versions of Python, create multiple virtual environments, and then import PySerial into each one. Check the version to make sure your virtual environment was created using the version of Python that you intended it to. And with that, this is AI blog number 2. So now that we've learned how to do all that, it's time to get started with OpenCV. So in the next video, I will be diving into that. Thank you everyone for tuning in.